lot of the times that these creative teams are pressed, like, why did you make these choices? It seems so odd. But when I attended the panel discussion, specifically, and we're talking now about the Nightingale, the responses that we got to these questions were similar to responses that I had heard before. And some of them are, it's really difficult to find talented Asian American actors. We can't find them, which that is shocking and astonishing to me because, and one of the panelists, I believe it was Christine Toy Johnson, said, really? Because I could just physically hand you my iPhone because all of the contacts in there are brilliant Asian American actors that I personally know. And so I think that there is a difficulty in terms of they have to want to seek out and go out into that community and go look at the plays that Asian Americans are producing themselves. And even if you want to sit down and not even leave your living room or office and Google Asian American Theater Company Los Angeles, you can find so many things, and you can. It's pretty easy to seek out diverse talent if you really intend to. And the other response we got was, oh, well, we have made some offers, but they were declined. So then we had to go to our second choice, and a lot of times those were Caucasian actors. And that was an odd thing too, because I thought, wow, so one deal doesn't work out, so then automatically it's like, okay, well, let's go with the white guy then. But I don't really understand that. I mean, granted, I'm never on the casting side, so I know that there's a lot of things that they deal with on that side of the table that I don't know about. But I'm confused. What I was confused by was their insistence that this was the only way. That we have to get Jonathan Pryce. It's the only person that can do it. Yeah. Because maybe it's because I'm so entrenched in a community full of Asian American actors who I know are just as brilliant, and as any Caucasian actor who just lack the opportunity to be able to set a track record with casting directors, to go up to bat enough time for a casting director to be like, oh, that person's good. We could totally keep them in mind for X or Y, even though we're casting Lee right now. And that's the disadvantage that we have, is that if we go in for one episode of How I Met Your Mother, it's like, okay, that's like a one-shot thing where, great, let's say you had a great audition, but you didn't get it. Well, in the Caucasian actor's trajectory, it could work out a little bit more like, well, it's not going to work out for this one, but in the next week's episode, we have a character who's going to be more right for this actor. So let's bring them in next week. But when you're Asian American, a lot of times your role is so specific and it's only going to be cast at one time. Maybe they'll hire another Asian American actor, 40 episodes from now. But then by that point, your audition is totally forgotten. Right. So it's like you're starting from zero again. And so it's difficult for us to just go up to bat enough times to be remembered. Even if it's not to get the part, just to be remembered for the next time that something you're appropriate for comes up, because the next time is going to be too long. It's going to take too long, Right. So it's an uphill. It's much more of an uphill battle.
Do you find that African American theaters are more open to casting Asian Americans than, say, Caucasian theaters?
Well, Jody Wong, who was on the panel, that panel discussion, said that she had found more success and more acceptance from those companies. And I myself have not really had much exposure to auditioning for African American theater companies. But I mean, it just goes to show you that there is a special kind of kinship and understanding of between those two communities, when it's like, yeah, I totally know what it feels like to like show up and know that you have no chance of like getting into this show, and you feel like, well, you know, you can't get it either. All right, well, come play with us. Come do our show. You know. Right. So I myself have not worked with a lot of African American theater companies, but I completely get why they would be more open and accepting. And in Jodie Long's case, she said she worked quite extensively with them. So I think it's entirely, you know, it's wherever you can go that will get you is where you should go.
You know, it's interesting. The past year, I've seen I watched General Hospital, I confess, and I
have auditioned for General Hospital.
Did you really? I hope you get in at some point. I love General Hospital, and I've noticed that they've really, you know, bumped up a lot of the characters. It's not all white anymore. It's right. The one show that I've noticed, and you know, anytime they're introducing a character now, that character it's not an all white cast anymore. It's right. It's interesting, and it makes me wonder if things are shifting finally out in Hollywood.
Well,
in a small way.
In daytime television, when these soap operas were originally created, it was in the 1950s. These shows were created only to sell sort of dishwashing liquid and household products to the housewives that were sitting at home watching TV, waiting for their husbands to come home. So the whole idea of the soap opera came about because it's like, we got to get these ladies to sit there and watch the TV long enough until, you know, the dishwashing liquid commercial comes on.
Right.
And so because of that, the origin of, you know, how those shows were created, they tended to cast very, very lily white, because those, you know, we wanted to attract the attention of that classic 1950s housewife with the big skirt vacuuming in her heels, you know? And so that purpose of the soap opera is now obsolete, obviously. Women are out there working, things are completely different now. And so it's possible, because the audience of daytime drama has widened so greatly, you know, you have a lot of gay guys watching the soap. You have a lot of, you know, it's teenage girls. It's a whole completely different spectrum of viewers.
Right.
So that's why you can, that's why it's possible to, it doesn't have to be so so restrictive with the casting. Mark Teschner, who is the casting director of General Hospital, he makes it a point to, you know, if there's a role with 5 lines, then it's like, that could be anybody, that store owner, that babysitter, that reporter. It could be anybody. So let's look for the right person versus let's look for, you know, let's look for a blonde lady that's 5'5".
Right. Yeah. I could tell, and it's not something that I've read anywhere. I mean, I haven't really looked for it, but as a viewer, I can tell, and it actually is refreshing, you know, because if you go into a hospital, it's not all white, you know.
Right.
I mean, it's like a reflection of reality for once.